Honourable Todd McLean.
Mr Chair, thank you very much. It gives me pleasure to take a call on this stage of the debate around revenue and finance and the work of the Finance and Expenditure Committee. Can I recognise all members of that committee and thank them for their diligence and say I particularly enjoyed reading their report and when looking across the impact that many of the members had, some members seem to know much more about what's going on than others, and therefore I recognise certainly my colleagues on the right of the chair at this moment. Mr Chair, IRD has a very big work programme in front of it. It was announced a few years ago by a former Minister of Revenue, and it's about modernising and simplifying tax administration in New Zealand. A very large mouthful, that as a description, but it's a very important one, Mr Chairman, because one of the ways the current government and indeed future governments can make sure that we're serving the public well when it comes to tax is making sure the cost of administering taxation in New Zealand is as low as it can be. So there are two parts of this. The first is the cost to inland revenue, therefore the government, to run the tax system. Well, that's one thing we should focus on, but very much for this government, our focus is on reducing the cost to comply with tax on individual taxpayers, large taxpayers, larger companies, but particularly SMEs. Mr Chair, the country is actually not in a bad space in this area. A survey was done not so long ago in America of the cost of tax administration or tax compliance for small and medium-sized enterprises, and they found that the cost on average in a given year in America was about $10,000. A similar evaluation in New Zealand shows that SMEs in New Zealand, it costs them about $4,500 as part of tax administration. So significantly better off than the case of America. But, Mr Chair, when one considers how many SMEs there are in New Zealand, that adds up to some billions of dollars. And so through business transformation, through an opportunity for the current government and indeed all of the House to look to simplify and modernise tax administration in New Zealand, that cost could come down. And think if it only came down by, I don't know, $1 billion within that, that could be as much in some cases as 0.5 percentage point of GDP. That's money that businesses get to keep themselves, and certainly the government believes they're the ones who are doing the hard work, and more of their own money they should keep to invest in their businesses, to help grow the economy, to employ more New Zealanders. And so this is an exciting opportunity. It's not actually about only a computer system, although the current computer system called First is more than 20 years of age now, and indeed it probably already costs more to maintain than it does replace, but this is an opportunity to make sure that we have a tax system that's fit for purpose. And before any party in this Parliament needs to contemplate increasing tax rates in the future to meet some of the costs associated with the services that New Zealanders demand and deserve, it's a duty upon the Parliament and indeed the government to look to reduce the cost of complying with tax, to simplify and to modernise it. So there's a number of issues that we're working through, Mr Chair, that I know that the committee canvassed during their hearings and their deliberations around this. The first is we've set up a number of groups and bodies to consult and be involved with New Zealanders, to ask them to consider how we can make the tax system simpler for them. So this isn't about reducing tax or saying to them they don't have to pay their tax, indeed they do, but how we can make it easier for them to comply. Of course, the majority of people in New Zealand comply with their tax obligations voluntarily. That means we don't have to make them pay their tax, but certainly we want to make it as easy as possible as it can be for those who want to comply to do so, and then to focus resources upon those who choose not to, so that we can make sure they're paying their way as well. We set up a taxpayer simplification panel where businesses, large and small, and individual taxpayers can send their ideas into Inland Revenue for an independent group to assess those. Some changes we hope we can make this year, others will be part of business transformation. We've had a listening campaign as a trial in the Hawke's Bay where we asked people to text or go online and tell us about ways to simplify taxation. A significant number of people took time to do that. We had a tax administration conference which also gave us an opportunity to consider the issue more widely. And just recently I launched 2 consultation documents, a green paper on tax administration, making tax simpler, and a second one on better digital services, how we can bring inland revenue up into the 21st century to make things easier for people as technology allows. Thank you, Mr Chair.